This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Shalom Aleichem, good morning, Chanukah Sameach. Miketz Hashem will speak about Parshas Miketz, we'll speak about Chanukah. I want to dedicate the shir for the Tzlacha of Ben Zion Ben Dosa, him and his family. Miketz Hashem should see open and revealed, Siyata Dishmaya, Kol Hayamim, Batov V'Neimim. So we wish each other Chanukah Sameach. Why do we wish specifically this good wish of Chanukah Sameach? The Greeks wanted to nullify 3 mitzvahs, that if they were to succeed, they would uproot the entire Yiddishkeit. And that is Shabbos, Bismillah, and Rosh Chodesh. If there's no Chodesh, you're eating Chametz on Pesach. You're not fasting on Yom Kippur. If there's no Shabbos, Skila, every single week. And there's no testimony that the Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world in 6 days. Bris Milah is a permanent ois, a sign between us and Ibn Shiloilam that escorts us no matter where we are. And if you don't have that, you're uprooting Yiddishkeit. So where do we do a zecher for that? We light and we remember the miracle of the oil. What about Shabbos, Milah, Chodesh, Rashi Tevois, Sameach? Shabbos is Shin, Milah is Mem, Ches is Chodesh, and therefore you say Chanukah Sameach and you remember all that. But Lemaise, how come you don't do a zecher to all these 3? We do. Shabbos is the 7th day. Milah, 8th day. Rosh Chodesh comes after 29 days. 29 plus 8 plus 7, 44. That's the 44 candles that we light along with the shamish. So we do a zecher for these 3 wonderful mitzvahs that we are Baruch Hashem zoiche to do again and again even today. Parshas Miketz, Bereishis Mem Aleph, Pasuk Lamed Zayin. Paro has all kinds of dreams and he's very distressed until finally Yosef comes. And he interprets his dreams, and now Paro is very, very happy. The passage says, "Vayitav hadavar beinei Paro uve'einei avadav." Question of the week: how did Paro know that Yosef's interpretation of his dreams was actually correct? He heard a lot of different things from different people. How do you know? Oh, finally, this is the right one. How do you know? What's that? Dreamt of the solution. Oh, but if it was so simple, I wouldn't ask you this. The answer everybody says. Because he dreamt the solution, so now, oh right, this is what I also dreamt. But now we know. I'm asking you a chiddush.
He gave also details that Paro himself didn't do, correct?
I'm asking the Panach Raza. Panach Raza is one of the Rishonim. Big chiddush. When Paro had his dreams, his limbs actually became disjointed. And they didn't return to their proper position until Yosef interpreted the dreams. He doesn't say it, but I think based on that we can understand why the passage says, Uve'einei avadav. His servants also saw, this is, how do you know? You didn't have my dream. Look at you. Look at you. All your limbs, look. Now when Yosef interprets the dream correctly, and he all goes back to looking normal, Vayitav hadavar be'einei avadav, in the eyes of his servants, because they also saw, this has to be the right thing. Apparently, Paul looks like he always used to.
What's the source of it?
Panach Raza, one of the Rishonim, is one of Baalei HaTosfos. It's Rishonim. 800, 900 years ago.
And he learns that out with all his...
I don't know. He doesn't tell us the source. Doesn't tell us the source. Maybe he had I'm assuming he had a medrash that we don't have. Bereishis Mem Gimel, Pasuk Lamed Gimel, Yosef places the brothers according to their age. Listen to a Pasuk. Vayeshvu lefanav. They sat in front of him. HaBechor kibchor asoi. Ve'atzair ketzair asoi. You're the oldest, sit right here. You're a little younger, sit behind him. Rashi brings, he would strike on his goblet, and he said, Reuven, Shimon, next, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar Zulun, you're all from one mother. I see it in my goblet. You're all from one mother. So you guys, Haseibu Kaseder Hazeh, Shei Seder Toldosechem. You guys sit here because this is a chronological order. This is the right thing to do. Then Yosef continued and he said, Binyamin. Well, Binyamin. I'm getting this thing. You don't have a mother. Oh, I also don't have a mother. You know what? Yeshev etzli. Do you notice a subtle difference between the way he turned to the brothers and the way he turned to Binyamin? He said to the brothers, Haseibu kaseder hazeh. To Binyamin he says, Yeshev etzli. What's the difference? Is it time to recline or is it time to sit? Haseibu is Lashon Haseiba, reclining. So you do on Pesach. Yeshvu is what you're doing right now. You're sitting. So be consistent. Either everybody should sit or everybody should recline. Rashi HaKodosh, every single word is exact and precise. There's no mistakes. If Rashi wrote something, there's a reason behind it.
I would say that you're leaning, reclining, when you're doing something that is joyous or something like that. When you're mourning.
When you're doing what?
When you're doing something joyous. When you're
Joyous,
doing
yeah.
good. When you're mourning, you don't do that. For example, when we
Who's mourning here?
dip the karpas, because, well, not mourning, is that he's remembering something sad, that they don't have a mother, right? Maybe that would be the reason. To be Yoshev. Sit
Interesting.
and reclining.
Chiddush. Nice. There's a sefer called Birkas Ish, and he explains it a little differently. The Shulchan Aruch Paskins in Siman Taf Ayin Beis Seif Hey, that a son who sits by his father, does he recline or not? A father sitting by his father reclines. What about a Talmid sitting by his Rebbe? He doesn't recline unless his Rebbe gives him permission. Even if it's Rebbe which is not Rebbe Muvhak, he does not recline unless the Rebbe gives him permission. And if it's a Talmid Chacham Mufrad B'Dorah, it's Gadol Ador. Even though he didn't learn anything from him, he is viewed as the Rebbe of all of us, and therefore you don't recline. The Rema adds that all these chilukim and these dinim apply when you're all sitting on the same table with that person, with your father, with a Rebbe, with a Gadol Ador. But if you have your own table, you need to recline. Clearly comes out from here that one who sits near a melech is like Gadol Ador. It's not Kvod Malchus that you'll eat while reclining. It's just not right. But that's only if you're sitting in the same table with the king. If you have your own table, why not recline? What does it say about the pasuk here that you're about to eat? Vayasimu loi levadoi, ulehem levadam, velamitzrim ha'ochlim ha'isa itoi levadam. That means there's three tables. There's a table for Yosef. There's a table for the Shvatim. There's a table for the Mitzrim. It comes out that the Shvatim did not eat with Yosef on the table. So what do you have to do? Sit or recline? You can recline. Enjoy yourself for that. But Binyamin, what did Rashi say? Yeshev etzli. Sit with me on my table. Oh, if you're sitting next to the king, maybe you can't recline. Therefore, Yeshev etzli, you must sit and not recline. And that's why the chiluk in Rashi HaKodosh's words. But I like your answer too. Let's move to Chanukah. It must be that if Parshas Miketz is read every single year during Chanukah, there's got to be a remez for Chanukah in Parshas Miketz. The pasuk in our Parsha, in Miketz, Mem Dalet Pasuk Beis, says, shivu lanu me'at oichel. The pasuk instructs you to break lanu. Shivu, break lanu. What is lanu? Lamed, nun, vav. 30, 56. How much is it? 86. Break it. Break 86. What do you have? 43. 43 and 43. The pasuk continues and instructs you, me'at oichel. A little from the oichel. Oichel is spelled Aleph Chaf Lamed in the Torah. What's the smallest of the oichel? Aleph. So take a little, take the Aleph, and add it to the 43 you have, and that's 44. That's the 44 candles that you light on Chanukah, and in Mela you have a remez for Chanukah in Parshas Miketz. But now we move to a much, much, much more serious topic, and that is life and death. Shaila. Serious Shaila. Lalacha. Reuven said that the following thing happened to him last year. His wife was hospitalized during Chanukah. His mother was hospitalized during Chanukah, and his mother is an almana. Second day of Chanukah, she calls him. She says, Reuven, please, in the last few years, since your father passed away, I'm always careful to light exactly on time at home with a bracha. Please go and light for me with a bracha exactly on time. She insisted on the time. Your mother asked you to do something. He went and he did just that. Let's say he lit, time is 5 p.m. At 5:15, he gets a call from his sister, who's in the hospital with his mother. She says, Mommy is dying. 3 minutes later, his mother expired, Alea Hashalom. And now, he starts thinking, wait a second. What's on? Abracha levatala? Was that adlaka actually a mitzvah? Another question. After she dies, she died before 30 minutes, which is the mitzvah. When someone walks by and he needs to say Birkas Haroye, in Siman Taf Resh Ayin Vav, we learned there's such a thing called Birkas Haroye. If somebody is not lighting today, and no one is lighting for him, he's not planning to light, and nobody is lighting for him at home, he has to say a bracha when he sees the candles of somebody else. She'asa nisim lavoseinu. He doesn't say lehadlik ner because he's not lighting anything, but he does say birkas haroya. He says she'asa nisim lavoseinu. When you see a candle which is burning after the person died, is it shayach to him? Are these neros mitzvah that you can actually say a bracha birkas haroya? So we have really two questions here. Was he able to light? When somebody tells you he is dying, and the doctors all confirm, and Eliyahu Hanavi comes and says he has 5 minutes to go. Since Neros Chanukah have to light for 30 minutes, person himself, if he is ready, willing, and able, can he light knowing for sure, all the doctors confirm, he's going to die in the next 5-10 minutes? Is he allowed to light? Or is the bracha levatala? If he's allowed to light, and that's a shayla on its own, when one sees these candles later, will he be able to say, She'asa nisim lavosenu birkas haroye? Rabbi Isa Dayani Mumchim, what do you say?
30 minutes is only according to one shita. We took a shita to say, if it just lit a small amount of time, you don't say.
What do we pass in la halacha?
Go according to the 30 minutes.
We need 30 minutes. Without it, bracha levatala. If you light with not enough oil to last for 30 minutes, bracha levatala. That's what we pass in.
The doctor said she will die in 15 minutes, but who believes the doctor when they say you should not?
Do you believe the doctors when they tell you to violate Yom Kippur and eat? Yes. Do you Tafrei Shut Chet and Siman in Shulchan Aruch Chaim? Do you believe the doctors when they tell you in Siman Shin Chaf Chet and Shin Chin Chaf Tes to violate Shabbos and to drive to the hospital on Shabbos? Do you believe them? Yes. Skila. You're not worried about skila. You're not worried about Kalas Yom Kippur.
They say someone is going to die. I understood that we cannot not list, so to speak. Do they have the power to decide? Maybe she will live another 2
So when the doctors say this person is about to die, you say, come, let's go out to party, let's go to the beach. What do you say to the person, to the patient?
But we don't take it at face value that in 15 minutes she's going to die.
Even if it's 28 doctors, Simen Koyach, and Eliyahu Hanavi, I added, comes and confirms these doctors are right. Now the Rambam was also a doctor, and the Ramban. Now do you believe him or not?
I don't know if the Rambam...
I'm not telling you you're wrong, I'm asking you a question.
What the Rambam says about someone you're going to die in 15 minutes.
Goises. Shulchan Aruch Yeridea Simen Shin Lamed Tes, we learned the halachos of Goises. There is such a thing called Goises. What's that?
You're not putting out the candles, the candles are still being lit.
So you're saying no problem. He can say the bracha, he can light. Can you say Birkas Haroye when you see these candles after he expired? He died 10 minutes after he lit. There's still 20 minutes to go, and he is not around. So his candle doesn't belong to him anymore. Can you say Birkas Haroye on a candle which is Lichoira? The name Neos Mitzvah was uprooted from it? Bisman Adlok, you did right. So no problem. So both questions, no problem. You have any rayas to what you say? Adlak oisem mitzvah. Adlak oisem mitzvah, even if you put enough oil for 10 minutes, it's a bracha levatala. So if you know you're going to go away in 10 minutes, where's the adlak oisem mitzvah here? What?
There's a mitzvah and a chayvitz in the gabber. The chayvitz, you did the mitzvah, you lit the candle.
But the mitzvah for you is to light in a way that will last for 30 minutes, and you should be the owner of the house and of the candle. That's in Diran Ezekiel. We're not going there. We're not harming anyone.
I would say definitely. He basically was going there with to fulfill the mitzvah. Whatever comes afterwards. You know? You fulfill the mitzvah.
In Hebrew, what you're saying is called Rosh Katan. I don't care what happens afterwards. Okay. Can I light with an amount of oil less than 30 minutes and say, oh, maybe the Baruch is going to perform another miracle of Hanukkah? No! So, but when all the doctors confirm that you have 10 minutes, isn't it like lighting with not enough oil? You're saying no? Let's see. Lichei Oira, this Shaila has to do with 3 different ways that we can understand this guy is about to die. Let me ask you a question. A person lit Hanukkah candle. He is healthy, 100%. He put oil for 2 hours. 3 minutes after he lights the candles, a guy comes in and says, wow, I love this house. Sell it to me. He says, not for sale. He says, oh, there's no such thing not for sale. It's for sale. He takes out a checkbook and he writes him such a, I don't even know how to pronounce this number, so many zeros. He sold after 4 minutes. Is he Yoitze the Adlaka?
Yes.
The house is not his. Says, the Mincha Shlomo, Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, you're not Yoitze. Bocha levatala. In both cases, if he intends to sell, or if he didn't intend, but lemaise, his candles did not light in his house, he's homeless. He's not Yoitze. Very nogea lemaise. I don't know how nogea lemaise this maise is. Don't know how often this happens, but it's very nogea. A person who's in a hotel, and at 5 p.m. he lights candles and he checks out. Says Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, Bacha levatala. You have to be the owner of the place where you're lighting in. What are you doing? 3 minutes after you're checking out, 20 minutes after, you have to be there for 30 minutes. The nair has to be in your possession, in your house, or the house where you're staying, during the time of the mitzvah, which is half an hour. Says the Mincha Shlomo, you are not Yoitze. Isn't it similar? Same idea. Once this guy dies, what happens to his house? It's not his anymore. It's transferred to the Yoshim. It's not his. Mimele, you lit without having a house for 30 minutes. It's like selling the house. It's like checking out of the hotel. It's the same halacha, same application.
What if his wife's alive? She's still alive.
As we said, this almana, no husband, called her son and said, listen, light for me, which means she doesn't have a husband, and when she dies, the house is no longer hers. Isn't it like, if Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says, has another chiddush, big chiddush. You light, and 10 minutes later, you go and you blow out the candle, intentionally. Not Yoitze. He has a bigger chiddush. You light with the intention to blow out the candles. And then you say, no, I actually like the candles. I'm going to keep them. You're not Yoitze. You intended to blow out the candles within the time, 30 minutes of the mitzvah. You're not Yoitze. When she knows she's about to die, in a few minutes, isn't it the same as I'm blowing out the candle in a few minutes? So why should she be Yoitze? Gewaldig, no?
Life is in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Oh, what's the chiluk? Here you're checking out of the hotel. You're selling the house. You're blowing out the candle. Here, I'd like to stay. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one doing the ma'aseh, not me. Fantastic chiluk. And therefore, lich'oira, not so sure that we can apply this. Gewaldig. Second way to look at it, when you're lighting with not enough oil, you have a problem. Here I put enough oil. But isn't it similar to a person who is lighting 15 minutes before Alois Shachar? You have to have 30 minutes to allow your candles to light, right? You come home 10 minutes before Alois. You're allowed to light throughout the night, right? But what about 10 minutes before and you know there is no 30 minutes? Are you allowed to light? You need 30 minutes, you're not going to have it. Unless somehow you decided to convince HaKadosh Baruch Hu to push off Alois this morning. I don't know if that's happening. Are you allowed to light when you're coming home from the flight 15 minutes before Alois? L'choira, yes. The Mishnah Berurah seems to say, Kol halayla. The language of the Shulchan Aruch is, Kol halayla, comes Shevet HaLevi, and he speaks exactly about this. He says, a person who landed, he came from the States, that's the example that he gives. And he came to the house 20 minutes before Alois, says Shevet HaLevi, you can light. A chiddush. Why can he light? It's as if the mitzvah for you was made today by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because you were be'oines, until now you couldn't light. They gave you 15 minutes for the mitzvah. So this person is about to die, they're giving him 15 minutes, they're giving him 10 minutes, whatever it is. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu created for him for this type of mitzvah. But after Alois, obviously no one can say the bracha of She'asa Nisim Lavosenu, Birkas Sarah, you won't be able to. So according to that, L'choira, she'll be able to light, but one who sees the candles will not be able to say She'asa Nisim Lavosenu. Or the third way to look at it is like you said, I think, I did everything beheter. I'm alive. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me a mitzvah. I'm not supposed to be a Navi, even if Eliyahu Navi comes and convinces me. Torah shelo, Torah lo b'shamayim. We don't listen to Nevi'im about that. I am supposed to light. If I do everything right, and then the candles blow out, kavsa, and it's kukla. If the candles blow out, I don't have to relight them. According to that, also you'll be able to light, but one who sees it after the person passed away will not be able to say Avoy because there is no Neirus Mitzvah anymore here. So that will be the chiluk. But can you bichlal rely on the doctors when they say they confirm? 28 doctors told us. Can you rely on us? On them? You don't need to. When a person is dying, in fact, he's going to die. Daf Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph in Shavuos we learn Rov Goisesin Lemisa. People, when they're at the stage called Goises, he will die. But Shulchan Aruch in Yoredeh Shin Lamed Tes Seif Beis writes that the first 3 days, when you hear a person is a Goises, you can continue thinking that he's alive. The Shulchan Aruch gives an example. If somebody comes and says, you know, I saw your relative, I was visiting her yesterday. I saw him dying. He's a goises. So in the hospital. Should the person who heard this start mourning right away? Sitting Shiva right now? Shulchan Aruch says no. After 3 days, for sure, yes. So up to 3 days, even though in a matzav of goises, and normally they don't last, you don't have to think, oh, he's going imminently. Mimele, even if the doctor is saying the person is going to die, we don't have to take it from Shammai, well, with a Navi. We can ignore it and we can say, doctors normally speak based on averages. An average means the person is in that situation, it could be, because usually they do within 15 minutes, sometimes it's 3 minutes, and sometimes it's an hour and a half. The average is about 15 minutes. They don't know for sure. Mimele, since according to this, it's a Rosh in Moed Katan and Simen Pei Gimel, Simen Tzad Design, and Shulchan Aruch in Yoredeh Shin Lamed Tes Seif Beis, L'chora, up to 3 days, you can think, I'm going to live. And if you have the opportunity to do the mitzvah, you can continue doing the mitzvah. So, L'chora, summarize it all. The bracha of Lehadlik Ner Shel Chanukah, She'asa Nisim, while you're lighting, you can say it. The bracha of Birkas Haroye, for the person seeing the candles later, wanting to say the bracha over them, L'chora, it's a tzarich iyun gadol, and we should say he should not say it. Safek brachos le'akel bichlal. Some say you always have the problem to say this bracha, unless you're within the first 30 minutes. And who told you were in the first 30 minutes? When you walk by and you see your neighbor's candles, do you know when he lit it? You don't know when he lit it. You don't know. So maybe it's after. And once it's after the first 30 minutes of the mitzvah, some say you can't say the bracha of that. That's not the bracha of a mitzvah, that's bracha of a hidu. Do we say in hidu, we say in the mitzvah. So some say lichayre should always be a suffix in suffix brachos lehakim. But there is such a concept, Siman Tafrei Shayin Vav, called Birkas Haroye. But in a case like this, lichayre, with all the sfekis that we presented, we should say, do not say the bracha Birkas Haroye and these type of candles, but the person himself will be able to say, to say the brachos for the hadlaka itself.
When we walk by someone's house, we're supposed to say a bracha?
Only if you didn't light today, you're not planning to light, and nobody is moitzi you in the hadlaka at home.
How do we count the 3 days of process from the moment the doctor says she's going to die in 20 minutes? Or when is the doctor?
When he gets to the stage, according to the doctors, called goises. So then if you don't know, if you stay with the person, you know exactly what's going on. But if you don't know, you can assume up to 3 days, you should not tell the person to start mourning. But after 3 days, for sure, yes.
But even if the doctor's saying 20 minutes she's going to go, do we count 3 days anyway? Or
if you don't know, 20 minutes later, find out what's going on. If you don't know, the Shulchan Aruch says, they told the person that his relative was dying, I saw him, you don't have to worry and start mourning up to 3 days. That's the language of Shulchan Aruch, Shin Lamed Tes Seif Beis in Yoredeh. Another serious shayla. A little less, now I'm talking about life and death here. But very, very nogea lemaaseh is a shir bocher. And every Shabbos, not on Chanukah, he finishes all his preparations before Shabbos early. So he leaves the house about 2 hours before Shabbos to be able to sit and learn and to accept Shabbos out of Kedusha and Ta'ara of sinning and learning. Gevaldik, tavor ave bracha. This is an Ashkenazi yeshiva bocher. Very important to note. Shabbos Chanukah, what he does, or what he used to do until now, unless we'll correct him, is he also wants to sit and learn. So he lights about 30 minutes before his father, and then he runs to the shul, and he sits and learns. His father lights 30 minutes later. But now he comes and he says, some people commented that could be that this is the wrong thing to do. For two reasons. First of all, it's not exactly kibudav that you light before the father. Normally, when Ashkenazim, not only the father lights, but everybody in the house, at least the men, the boys, they light. You first allow your father to light. And only then, the kids light. Not exactly derech eretz and a kibudav when you light before your father. And the second thing is, the first one who lights at home is mekayim the mitzvah ner ish ubeisoy. What are all the other people doing when they're lighting? Hidu. Everybody lights. It's a hidu mitzvah. So you want to take away your father's mitzvah and leave him with the change, with the dessert? You want to leave him with a hidu? What's up with that? Is that the right thing to do?
It's not his house. It's not his house. It's the father's house.
And especially that it's not your house. It's your father's house. Isn't it kind of a chutzpah to leave your father with the hidu and take away the ikar mitzvah? That's what you're saying, right? What do you say? What do you say? Talmud Torah keneged kulam. That means it's going to get reward much more than anything else. What does that do with our shayla? Let's deal with kibudav. Is this kibudav? When you're sitting on the table with your father, Aruch HaShulchan, in Simin Reish Mem in Yoredei HaSeif, Yud Aleph says, you have to prioritize your father. Give him first. Let him wash his hands first. Can you say to your father, listen, I'm going to wash before you because I'm going to go learn before, and Talmud Torah keneged kulam. What about kibudav? It's also part of what we learn in the Torah is in order to fulfill what Torah says.
Isn't that kibudav in the sense that his father would be happy that the son is on a
That's a shayla if the father would come and say, I'm very, very happy. But the son is asking, is it right not to prioritize my father? If the father says, get out of here, I want to see you learning. We don't have a shayla. You're trying to diffuse the shayla, and I want to deal with the shayla.
Can't we learn it from Yaakov Avinu? Yaakov Avinu was not punished for the 14 years he spent in yeshiva Shem Never. But he was punished for the other things. So in those 14 years he wasn't involved in Kippur Day. Kippur Day wasn't.
Who told him to go? Can you go to Chutz La'aretz without sitting and learning Hilchos Chutz La'aretz, how to conduct yourself without yeshiva? Most explain that's the reason he sat in yeshiva so many years and didn't fulfill his father's wish. He did. Because he can't go into a contaminated place without protecting yourself. The only way to protect yourself is to learn how to deal with it. That means to immerse. And to saturate yourself with Torah and mitzvahs and halachos and shas and poiskim. Okay, now maybe I'm ready to go and meet who I'm supposed to meet outside Eretz Yisrael. A very wicked person. So I'm not so sure we can give a proof from Yaakov Avinu, and anyways that's before Matan Torah, and anyways that's not in Shulchan Aruch. I'm looking at halachos poiskim. This is halachos ma'asim. Good, no good. Kibudav, no kibudav. You like it, you don't like it. You don't care.
Maybe kibudav is a doraisa.
Yeah.
And maybe the light of the candles is a rabbanan.
To prioritize your father is also a deraisa? Yeah? What's the definition of kibudav in Shulchan Aruch? To feed him, if you need. To dress him. To take him out for a walk, if you need. To help him get up. To help him sit down. All the other things that give him simcha and nachas and joy are part of kibud, but that's not the definition of kibudav from the Torah. And if I don't do it, they can't try, wait a second, you weren't mechabedav. If you did, you mekabel a bonus.
Food before your father, it sounds like a sorry to keep it on, but to do a mitzvah before your father, we've heard that the Kohen do mitzvahs, that's shame.
What does that mean, I'm doing a mitzvah for my father?
Before, if you do a mitzvah before your father, if I want to say Lula before my father, or daven earlier, is that a Yisrael keep it up, or is it only, but I think that
this is l'chora our question. Is it a chisaron?
I'm saying we only have it by Kohen. The Kohen has...
You also have it a kibudav. Aruch HaShulchan. Yoredei. Reish Mem. Seif Yud Aleph. Says the Aruch HaShulchan. If you have your father, you're hosting your father, choiva alav lechabed es aviv, that's his language. You have an obligation to honor your father. Litol yadav rishon, make sure your father washes his hands first. Veliten lo hachelek harishon, serve him first. Vegam she'arei chiluk shebashulchan noisnim loy. I'm quoting you the Aruch HaShulchan. Obligation, honor your father. He comes first. Licheoira, especially at this your father's house, he comes first. Shalosh Minchas Yitzchak was asked a similar question. He was asked by a bachur, or a person who's married, and he's with his father in the house. And he says, my father does Hachana de Rabba before Chanukah. He goes half an hour, he goes to the mikveh, he dips a gartel and the Shem Yichud, half an hour before he actually, I want to light, and I want to leave. And my father is my akif. My father says, no. What kind of business is this? I have to light before you. This is very, very similar to Ashana. The Minchas Yitzchak was asked, do I actually have to wait for my father to finish all his preparations? How many Shem Yichud can you say for one mitzvah? And he keeps going. The Minchas Yitzchak asks, it starts by saying, this really should not be a shayla. Funny language. He says, it shouldn't be a shayla. This is a shayla of shalom bayis, and not exactly a shayla of kibbud av. He says this is a shayla that should be drosh v'kabel sachar, but it should not be lemaise, because we have to somehow make a compromise and peace between the father and his son, because the son is obligated in kibbud av, and the father is obligated not to cause the son to transgress by alif neiver, by upsetting him. So they should somehow resolve this. But if you're asking me la halacha, says the Minchas Yitzchak, we have to talk about it in lomdis, because it should not be relevant lebaise. He says lichoira, the father is not right. When we are all standing here and lighting, prioritize your father. I think that's what you were hinting to before. But if I want to light half an hour before you, there's no issue of prioritization. I'm doing a mitzvah now, and you're doing a mitzvah later. I'm hungry. So I have to wait now half an hour until you finally light so I can eat? We don't find this type of a issue until your father lights, you're not supposed to. No, when you're standing together, about to do the mitzvah or to do something else, whatever it is, prioritize your father. But there's no issue for me to go ahead before him and to do any mitzvah that I want.
Not the fact that you mentioned the fact that the first person who lights.
Well, we're dealing with Shalav Kibudah first. We'll get there. So lichoya kibudav, we have no problem. We get out of it. When he wants to do it half an hour early, there's no shala of prioritization. I'm doing a mitzvah now, my father's going to do it later. Prioritization is only when we're standing together about to do something, let your father go first. But is he really demoting the mitzvah element, the mitzvah part, the chelek of the father when he's lighting first? Lichoya taking the mitzvah and making his mitzvah the mitzvah, and his father only the hidu mitzvah. Shulchan Aruch and Simin shake. Simin, tremble. Tafresh Ayin Dalet, tir'ad, shake, tremble. Simanim, asar lecha simanim, this is how you remember the Torah. Shulchan Aruch and Tafresh Ayin Dalet, Seif Aleph writes, you're allowed to light a Chanukah candle from another Chanukah candle. Comes the Rema and says, no, we're noyeg to be machmir, not to light from ner to ner, because the ikar mitzvah is one ner. So what you're doing for the second ner is demoting the first one. Don't use candle to candle. That is the minhag, says the Rema, because the rest are not for a mitzvah at all. That's his language. The Magen Avraham says, really, me'ikar adin, it's sufficient to light one candle for everybody in the household. The Pri Megadin writes, the mehadrin, ner, lekol echad ve'echad. Mehadrin, moisif ve'hoylech. If that's the case, when there's many people in the house, it's sufficient to light one for everybody. Even though we see that people do say a bracha when they light their own candles, again, by Ashkenazim, the father lights and then other household members light with a bracha, because they have a kavana, I don't want to be yoytze with my father's adlaka. Then you can go and light for yourself. But me'ikar adin, you don't need that. And therefore, you can't use the first candle to use to other candles because they're not really, at least the same level of a mitzvah, whatever you want to treat them. It seems from the Pri Megadim that even a father and his son, when they light in the same house, if the son has a kavana, I don't want to be yoytze with my father's hadlaka, he is still not going to be able to light from the main candle, because the main candle, the first candle, is the ner of the mitzvah. Ner ish ubeisoy. And all the other candles, even though we say a bracha over them, they have a little lesser of a chashivus, lower level of a mitzvah, mitzvahs of hidu, but it's not the ikar mitzvah, it's mamish. However, Shalosh Shuvas Rabbi Akiva Eger in Tanina, Tinyana Simin Yud Gimel, he writes that if you light the main candle, and then tonight is the fourth night, the fifth night, you lit the first candle, and then you remember, oh wait a second, I didn't say the bracha. Can you say the bracha on the second candle? You didn't say the Adlik Chanukah as you were supposed to on the first candle. You started lighting, so excited, and then you remember, wait a second, I didn't say the bracha. The second candle is only a hidul candle. Can you say a bracha over that? You're saying yes?
Yeah, until you finish lighting all the candles.
But the second candle is only a hidul candle. It's not the main part of it. You say a bracha for hidul? Last week we mentioned the Abudra mentioned in the Magen Avraham, and the Abudra is actually from the Rambam, that yes, you do say a bracha for hidul. Mishnah Berurah doesn't seem to like it. Normally we don't say a bracha for hidul mitzvah. Says Rabbi Akiva Eger, you can still say a bracha for the candle.
First candle?
When you finish the first one and you're about to light the second one, you're even allowed to say now a bracha when you forgot to say it for the first one. And it's a chiddush. Because lichoira, as soon as you finish the first candle, you finish the mitzvah. All you're adding now is a hidul mitzvah. So lichoira, you shouldn't be able to do it. In Be'ikar Adin, we only light one, and you're yoytze. But he says, no. Normally when people light, like we said, you have a kavana, I don't want to be yoytze with the hadlaka, and therefore I'm allowed to. And therefore he says, that's the case, I'm mechuyav midina. You're obligated, and that's a nice thing to do. You're mechuyav. Lichoira, Rabbi Akiva Eger asks himself, from what the Magen Avraham brings, that the other people in the household cannot use the first candle. Why not? I have a kavana not to be yoytze. For me, nothing happened until I light myself, and when I light, it's mamish, a ner of a mitzvah, not a hidul mitzvah. He says, no, it's mamish. He says, lemaise, the first night candle is what patters the whole house, it exempts the whole house, it's a ner mitzvah, everything else is a hidul, and yet he allows to do it. It comes that our discussion is dependent on machlokes of Magen Avraham and Pri Megadim on one hand, and Rabbi Akiva Eger on the other. Pri Megadim and Magen Avraham say that if somebody already lit in the house, everybody else that lights, they can do it, but lemaisa, it's only a hidul type of an activity that they're involved in now. According to Rabbi Akiva Eger, the mamish are a full-fledged mitzvah, and he will be able to do it, and he's not demoting his father by doing so. We'll stretch it and compare it to something else. Shalosh Shuvas Beis Halevi brings a machlokes, Rambam and Tur, regarding tzitzim sheinam me'akvim. In Bris Milah, he cut off the orla. What if the moyel did that, and there's still some extra called tzitzim, but tzitzim sheinam me'akvim. It's the extra that he didn't cut, but if he'll forget about it, it's not me'akiv, the mitzvah was done. When the moyel finished, and he sees that some left over, should he come back and actually do the tzitzim sheinam me'akvim? He finished the bris. Should he come back and do it? It depends who you ask, and it depends if it's Shabbos or weekdays. If it's on Shabbos, should he come back and do it? Everybody agrees he doesn't come back. Why? Because if you do, what are you doing now? Chabala. The mitzvah was done. It's not me'akiv. So what you do have now is a chilul Shabbos. What about the weekday? It's a Monday. There's a bris milah. Maybe we should all say Mazel Tov to a bris milah that just took place 2 days ago with a new baby born. Levi Yitzchak, the son of Rav Daniel Reuven, who's sitting right here and joining us every single week, and he should, Mirza Hashem, grow up to be a gigantic marbitz Torah ve'oira beklal Yisrael. The moyel over there, I was watching him. Rabbi Kornfeld did a great job, as he always did. He didn't forget anything. Tzitzim she'me'akvim, she'edem me'akvim, everything he took, everything is fine. But let's say it happened on a Wednesday. Tzitzim she'edem me'akvim, eina me'akvim. Do you go back to do it or not? Rambam says, nope. No. The mitzvah was done. The tool says go back. Why? The pasuk says, ve'anvehu. And Chazal Darshan Shabbos Kuf Lamed Gimel, hisnaye lefanav mitzvahs. When you do a mitzvah, do it beautiful. So it's a hidur mitzvah. These tzitzim she'ena me'akim are all, they are a hidur mitzvah. So the Rambam says, once you finished, the ma'aseh mitzvah is done. Mimele, when you come back, you're not doing a hidur mitzvah. You're still doing something that's not connected to the mitzvah. You can only do a hidur mitzvah when you're involved in a mitzvah. But when the mitzvah was finished before, yesterday, an hour ago, it's over. The hidur mitzvah, what are you going to, it has to be associated with something. It has to be associated with a mitzvah. You do a mitzvah, do it in a complete, most beautiful way that you can. But that's when you're involved in a mitzvah. The Torah says not like that. The Torah says any time that you go back and you fix and you make more beautiful what you did before, it's still a mitzvah. Based on that, the Gizmir Brisk explains, Mamish Givaldik, he compares this to Neres Chanukah. The machlokes of the Rambam and the Rema regarding Neres Chanukah. Similarly, they're very consistent. The Rema changes from the language of the Rambam, from the opinion of the Rambam. The Rambam says, Mehadrin mina mehadrin, the Baal Habayis, the order, he lights all the candles for everybody. Meaning, the Mehadrin, he lights one candle for everybody in the household. Like we do in Rosh Shabbos. The wife lights candles for everybody in the house. And the Mehadrin mina mehadrin, Baal Habayis lights as the amount of people in the household and the amount of days. That's what normally they do. According to the Rema, Tafresh Ayin Aleph Seif Beis, each one of the household members, and that's what we do, they light. This is very consistent with what they hold regarding Bris Milah. According to the Rambam, it's not shaykh to do a hidur mitzvah without the ma'aseh mitzvah. If that's the case, when the Baal Habayis lights his candles and he finishes the mitzvah, it's not to be shaykh for other people to jump in and to do their hidur, because the ma'aseh mitzvah was done. Just like the ma'aseh mitzvah of the Bris Milah was done, and it's not shaykh to come back later to do a hidur mitzvah when the mitzvah is not here. But the Rema holds like the tool, because the tool says even on a weekday, when you go back to do tzitzim she'ena me'akim, it's even after the Bris Milah was completed. Because yes, you can do a hidur mitzvah to a mitzvah that was already completed. As long as you beautify something, it's considered hidur mitzvah. Mimele, each one of the household members can go and light. So it comes out that after the Baal Habayis lit, all the other neos are only neos of hidur mitzvah. And he holds like the Magen Avraham and the Pri Megadim that everything that the people in the household will light are only neros mitzvah. Lichoira, according to that, the father can say to his son, what you're doing is taking away my mitzvah. I had a main mitzvah, and then there's a hidur mitzvah. You took my main mitzvah, and all you left me is the hidur mitzvah. But it could be that even according to the opinions of Ner Ish Ubeiso, the father doesn't lose anything from having his son light before him. Because as soon as the candle was lit, he's also mekayim this mitzvah. This is his house. He's mekayim the mitzvah of Ner Ish Ubeiso. There should be a candle of Chanukah in your house. And when he lights the hidur mitzvahs, he completes the job. And even if we'll say not like that, but it's somebody else lighting, and mitzvah bo yoiser mi b'shlucho, you should prioritize yourself over somebody else doing a mitzvah for you. The whole essence of Chanukah is to learn Torah. What did the Levanim try to do? Le'ashkicham Torah secha. Talmud Torah keneged kulam, as somebody already said here. So he's not nullifying the mitzvah of Chanukah. He wants to do the mitzvah of Chanukah. And then he wants to go and sit and learn, which has reward corresponding to everything. It's exactly the opposite of what the Yevanim want to do, and that's the rectification of Chanukah. The chashivus of the learning Torah of the son should override this. So to summarize, Kibud Av, there is an inyan to prioritize the father, but only when you're both doing the mitzvah. Not if the father doesn't want to light now, he wants to light later. There's no inyan of prioritization. If it's demoting or not, lichora, it is going to be a machloikes, but even if it is, lichora, and we should definitely explain this to a smart father, and even if he's not smart, we'll spend a little more time explaining this to him. He should prioritize his son. He should be very happy that his son wants to go and learn and has spent a little more time with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah, and Emor Hashem, that's going to bring bracha and refuah and tzlacha to the whole house.
If the case that he's lighting a half an hour before this one, Allah from everybody else, and it's Erev Shabbos, could it also be a tzad that no one's going to see anything till Shkia, Mimele?
No. B'shas Adchak, you're allowed to start lighting Plaga Mincha. It's very early. And you're Yotze. B'shas Adchak, don't do it. And make sure if you do, you have enough oil to last all the way to half an hour after Tzitz Kochavim. But once you light, you're fine. There's different shittos how early before Shabbos one should light. Very nogiata tonight. So he does half an hour early. His father maybe does 15 minutes before Shkia, and he does 45 minutes before Shkia. So much after Plag. Shouldn't be a problem. Sure.
The mice is early, but you only Yotzi when it gets dark.
But the Maisa Adlaka was done. You said the bracha. The bracha is going to kick in later. We're going to find out retroactively if you're Yotzim, if the candles lasted for that duration that we're looking for. But the Maisa Adlaka and the mitzvah is done now. Aboisai, riddle, Chanukah riddle. A glowing riddle. Can it be that a person lit his Chanukah candles in the right place? There's a lot of people who pass by and see the Chanukah candles. Gewaldig, Pesum Nisa. Nobody is sick. There's no nedarim. I always have to say that before a riddle because that wrecks it. Oh, because someone is sick, is about to die. Oh, no nedarim. No one's sick. The same amount of people are going to pass by tonight. Tonight is the 5th night. The same amount of people like yesterday and 3 days ago. And yet we're going to tell them, change the location. Yesterday it worked fine. Tonight the same amount of people are going to pass by. But we're going to tell them, nope, change the place that you were lighting. You're lighting for 4 days. From now, change it. For the rest of the Chanukah, change location. What would that be? Can it be? Not a true question. It can be. When did this happen? Perhaps.
I don't understand the question.
A person lights every single night. The first 4 nights, 5 nights, 6 nights, he lights in one place, and it's gewaldig. The rabbi comes and says, this is the best place to light. A lot of people came by and saw it. Pesum Nisa. Then in the middle of Hanukkah, the rabbi comes and says, no, switch location. He says, why? The same amount of people are going to pass by tonight, and they're going to see it. And yesterday told me it's good. So why is it not good right now? And there's not any bad smell or anything like that in that area. We have to change it.
Same amount of people in the household?
Everything is constant. Same amount of healthy people, same amount of non-nedarim, everything is the same.
Is the height?
Height is the same from yesterday. Nobody did renovations here.
Did he move in recently?
Did he move in?
Yeah.
And if he did?
So if the 5th night of Hanukkah is going to be like the 30th day.
You get 15 points! You hear that? What is he talking about? He's talking about Chutz La'aretz, not here. Normally, Tafresh Ayin Aleph Seif Zayin, we learn, you want to light on the right side. Right? You light outside your house on the right side. Why on the right and not on the left? Mezuzah is on the left, Mezuzah is on the right, Chanukah is on the left. But normally we go to the right with everything. Why on the right?
Because we move from left to right.
Mishnah Berurah says 2 reasons. Either that we always prefer the white, or there's more Pesum Nisa on the right. Because people turn to the right. So, Lemaisa, we normally put the Chanukah candles on the left and the mezuzah on the right. And if there is no mezuzah, you go to the right. We want to prioritize the right because of these 2 reasons of the Mishnah Berurah. Shulchan Aruch Yoredea, Reish Pei Vav, Seif Beis, we learn. A person who rents a house in Chutz La'aretz, the first 30 days does not have to put a mezuzah. There's a machloikis, if he did, can he say a bracha? Machloikis. Most of the poskim allow him to say the bracha even before 30 days. It's a shayla of Taisa Shalom in Asui when the 30 days kicks in. So he did not put, as the Shulchan Aruch says, first 30 days he didn't put a mezuzah. He moved in exactly a month ago. When the 30th day, today, kicks in, what does he have to do now? Put a mezuzah. So until now, the Chanukiah was on the right side because there's no mezuzah here. Now that the mezuzah comes, should he transfer the menorah from the right to the left? To do what the Shulchan Aruch says, the Shulchan Aruch says, the mezuzah goes on the right, the menorah goes on the left. Now that I finally have a mezuzah, it's the 4th day, 5th day of Chanukah, 6th day, whenever in the middle of Chanukah, should I transfer the menorah from here to here? It's a shayla. The Vayan Avraham, Rabbi Avraham Palaji. he discusses this. And why don't you have a shayla to do this? Keresh shenitan batzafoin, when they established the tabernacle, they used to assemble and disassemble, assemble and disassemble, assemble and disassemble. So the wood that would go on the north, tomorrow you have to put it again in the north. So they wrote Aleph, Beis, Gimel to know which goes where. Nafkamina, Hilchos Sukkah. Some say this will apply in Sukkah as well. And when you take apart your Sukkah tonight, this year, next year when you build it again, you have to make sure that the same wood are standing in the same place. Some say you don't. That's the reason some say that in the talis, some people have an atara. Why do you have the atara? You have beautiful silver thing on top, or even just the material. Why do you have to put it? To make sure that what you had yesterday on top, on the shoulders or on your head, doesn't go on the bottom. Keresh shenitan batzafoin, you don't put it badarom. Some say it doesn't make a difference. The Goen Vilna didn't care about this, and he doesn't care to flip the talis every single day. But this is what the Vayan Avram and the Sdei Chemed brings him, discuss, and Lemaise he says, this doesn't provide the isur of switching like the keresh of the Mishkan. Because he says, first of all, when I put it here, the first day of Chanukah, I knew that the 30th day will come in the middle of the week. So al data de hachi, I had in mind that when the 30th day will come, I will change it. And second one, it's not right to keep both of them now on the right, because people are going to pass by and says, what's wrong with this guy? Doesn't he know the halacha? That the menorah goes on the right, the mezuzah goes on the right, and the menorah goes on the left? And therefore, for these two reasons, he says, switch location. The Ginza Yosef is not crazy about it. The Ginza Yosef says, Lemaise, he brings a Pri Chadash, that you do have to put everything in the same place where it was yesterday. Mimele keresh shenitan batzafon, like the tabernacle stays in the tzafon. Says yesterday you kept it here, next year you put it on the left side. This year you'll keep everything on the right, but according to Vayan Avram, that as the Chemed brings, that will be the answer to our question. Shabbos Chav Gimel Amud Beis, Amar Rava, Pshitali, so Pashut, that tonight, Friday night, if all you have is one candle, and you can use it for Shabbos, or you can use it for Chanukah, which one overrides? Ner Beiso Ner Chanukah, Ner Beiso Adif. Shabbos candle overrides. Why? Mishum Shlom Beisoi. That is what Rava says. What does that mean, Shlom Beis? What does it mean? Rashi says, you're going to stump your feet 1,000,000 times, stump your toe. People don't like to eat in dark. B'nei Beiso mitztarim. Rashi says, everybody is upset to sit in the dark. That's not Shlom Beis. But the Meiri, the Meiri says, to whom does the mitzvah of Hadlakas Neros Shabbos belong? The woman. Who owns, or who does the mitzvah of Hadlakas Neros Chanukah belong to? The husband. The wife is going to say, so you prefer your mitzvah over mine? And that's going to cause the machlokes. Geval de Meiri. What kind of Shlom Beis is going to be when she says, you don't care about my mitzvahs, you only care about your mitzvahs? What's going to be a machlokes that? Wait a second. Based on that, a couple is about to get divorced. Sunday they have a meeting in the Rabbanut. She knows he prefers himself over her. She knows this for the last 10 years. That's why they're getting divorced on Sunday. Should he also prioritize Ner Shabbos? Or not? Shlom Beis here, according to the Meir at least, is not shaykh.
Did Elio tell him he's going to get divorced on Sunday?
No. The rabbi set an appointment for him. What's that? You see from the poskim. You see the Gemara and the poskim, they didn't. There's no chilukim. So, wait a second. If you're about to divorce, 80% you're going to divorce. Nobody says that. What do you see from here? You see from here that until that final signature on the get appears, you must continue investing and hoping and davening and doing everything you can to maintain Shlom Beis. Otherwise, they will tell you, well, when it's clear for you, you know for a fact. So that, no, this halacha is always relevant. As long as they're married, this halacha is always relevant. There was a couple that came to the Or Sameach. Or Sameach is Meshech Chochmah. And they told him, we want to get divorced. So Or Sameach says, you can't do such a drastic move without having your kid present. Bring your kid. They brought the kid back. The Or Sameach looks at the kid and he says to him, you should know, your parents have a plan to turn you into an orphan. If in fact they go through with this plan, so please don't do me a favor. You're going to be an orphan basically. So don't roam in the streets. Come to me, you'll be my child. Maybe I said this before here. If I did, it's a mitzvah to repeat. If not, you're in for a treat. A guy came to the Debrecen Rav, the Be'er Moshe, and he told him, Rabbi, I want to get divorced. He said, what's going on? He said, it doesn't work. We can't get along. We're married 3 years. Did you try? Yes, Rabbi, we tried. Did you really try? We tried. That's it. Finished. Can you do the get for us? So the Be'er Moshe says to him, come tomorrow at 9 o'clock to my office. You have a kid? Yeah, 1.5-year-old. Bring him as well. This person thought that it's part of the procedure that the kid has to be, he doesn't know, it's the first time having a get. The following morning, 9 o'clock, they come to the office. They sit down, and the Be'er Moshe says, didn't you say you have a son? He says, yes, bring him in. They'll go outside. They bring the kid. The Be'er Moshe says, can I hold your son? He says, sure. The Debrecen Rav puts this little kid, 1.5-year-old, on his lap. He looks at him. And he says, dear Moshe, you should know, what I'm about to tell you now, you're not going to understand. But oh boy, will you understand this later. What's going to happen in a few minutes will essence turn you into an orphan. Your life is going to be miserable. It's going to be hell. You're going to be in Cheder. Every time there's a party, Chumash party, Siddur party, the parents of other kids will come. Your parents will never want to be in the same room together. When they're going to learn Maseches Gittin, everybody's always going to be looking at you. Whenever the word get will be mentioned, everybody will be staring at you. The neighbors will be your father. The aunts and uncles, they will be your mother. One Shabbos you will spend by your mother, and you're going to hear nasty things about your father. The following Shabbos you'll be by your father, and you're going to hear the most terrible things about your mother. Your life is going to be hell. But don't worry. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Avi Yasoimim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Father. He'll take care of you. The father and the mother become all red. The father says to him, Rabbi, can we still discuss this outside? Or listen, as long as we don't have a signature on the get, you can discuss it. The father comes quickly. He takes the kid from the rabbi, says to his wife, they go outside, and the Be'er Moshe is still sitting there 120 years later waiting for them to come back. They never came back. I said this over once when I was in the States in the Shir Shlom Bais. At the end of the Shir, this fellow comes to me crying. He says to me, exactly the way you described it is what happened to my son. And I feel terrible. I said, I'm so sorry, I have no idea. This is a Shir meant to be a Shir for Shlom Bais. I was assuming people want to hear this type of things. If I would have known, I would never say this. He says, it's excellent that you said it, people should know. He was crying, he told me, it's exactly what happened to my son. Exactly, but Baruch Hashem that you said it, because people need to know. So therefore I feel comfortable to say this, even if Khalila, it's going to cause someone to shed some tears. Another Chanukah glowing riddle. Can it be, is there something unique about the fourth day of Chanukah, a halacha that applies only on the fourth day and is not relevant? Don't tell me that you have to light 4 candles on the fourth, I know that. A different halacha that applies only because today is the fourth day of Chanukah. It doesn't apply on the 3rd, 5th day, 8th day, or the 1st day. Only on the 4th day.
It goes like Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel.
What about it?
Well, one says to increase, one says to diminish.
Do we pass in the Beis Shammai? La halacha, l'maaseh. Do we pass in the Beis Shammai? No. We pass in the Beis Hillel. So what's something that applies to us today, only on the 4th day? Can it be?
2 people are led in the same Chanukah.
True. I thought you were going to say that. 2 people, very poor people, they only have one Chanukah, so they're able to light the first night, each one on each edge of the Chanukah, and the second, third, the fourth they can't, because it's not going to be apparent. True. On top of that. That's the obvious one. The Mishnah Berurah brings something a little more. You have something? Tzadikim. Chanukah. Are you allowed to eulogize? You're allowed to fast. You sure?
Yes.
Correct. Chanukah, you're not allowed to eulogize. You're not allowed to fast. the Rema writes in Shulchan Aruch Chaim Taf Reish Ayin, what about if somebody has a yortzeit? What about if someone has a terrible dream last night? Tanis Chalom. We spoke about it before today. Lemaisa, we don't fast Tanis Chalom, even for those things mentioned in Shulchan Aruch, because the Chazon Ish says we're not such great people that they're giving us messages from Shamayim. But according to the original halacha of Shulchan Aruch, and a yortzeit, people have them like to fast on a yortzeit. If the yortzeit falls on Chanukah, can one fast? No. Lemaisa, one doesn't. The Mishnah Berurah adds that if one did, he has to fast another day after Chanukah, compensatory for what he did, tashlumi. Lemeisav tanis letanisai. Good. But, what's that? Right. So the Rama says don't. The Rama says don't. Says the Mishnah Berurah, but if you did and you didn't listen to the Rama, so you owe another fast day. But this is different if this happens on Kaf Ches Kislev, 4th day of Chanukah. What's so unique about Kaf Ches Kislev? Shulchan Aruch in Siman Taf Kuf Pei, Seif Beis, writes, there's days that are called Tanis Tzadikim, special days on the calendar that Tzadikim fast for different things that happen, Klal Yisrael. One of them is Kaf Ches Kislev. Why? Because Yehoyakim burnt the Megillah that Baruch wrote in the name of Yirmiyahu. Shulchan Aruch writes, this is one of the days Tanis Tzadikim. The Rema writes in Taf Kuf Ayin Gimel, a Chassan that marries in the month of Nisan. We don't say Tachanun month of Nisan. Does he fast? No. Yes. The Rema writes, even on Rosh Chodesh. Why? Because this is one of the days that people fast, Tanis of Tzadikim. So you see, even on a day that normally you don't fast, on Rosh Chodesh, but since a special day, Aleph Nisan is a Tanis Tzadikim, one is able to fast. Same thing will apply by Chanukah. Normally it's days that you don't fast, but Kaf Ches Kislev is such a special day that it's Tanis Tzadikim, so one will be able to fast. The Bach writes, based on this, Kaf Ches Kislev is one of those days, Tanis Tzadikim. It's not better or worse off than Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And therefore, one will be able to fast. So he says, so how come the Rema didn't mention it? The Rema should have said, you don't fast on Chanukah except for Kaf Ches Kislev. He says an interesting thing, because normally people don't get married at the end of the month. Go to the next hall and check if this is still correct today. I don't know, that's what he writes. But the Magen Avraham writes, Kaf Ches Kislev lemaise, you don't fast. Because there's different versions, if in fact it was Kaf Ches Kislev when he burnt it, or it was on different days. But the Pri Megadim writes, Kaf Ches Bekislev, tzarich iyun. If you did fast, should you do another fast? Or, if you fasted on Kaf Zayin Kislev, you didn't listen to the Rema, can you fast the extra fast on Kaf Ches Kislev, because it's the day that you're allowed to fast? It comes out that the answer to our riddle is the 4th day of Chanukah, which is Kaf Ches Kislev, is different than the all other days. Some poskim say that you're allowed to fast, and even if you're not allowed to, but you did, you do not have to add another day after Chanukah to compensate for what you did. So that's the answer to our riddle. Last thing. Allah nisim ve'ala pukan ve'ala. Ve'ala what? Gvuros. Ve'ala, next? Shuo, salvations. Ribono Shel Olam, thank you so much. Ve'al? Milchamos. Should come first. And then? Milchamos, wars, after salvation. Something is wrong with the order. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thank you very much for the wars. We spoke about it, why we want to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the wars. And then thank you for the salvation you delivered after the war. But you're saying no. You're saying, thank you for the salvation, and thank you for the wars. Out of order. That's why you say thank you for the war itself. But why are you saying it after the salvation? It should be the reverse. Comes Adoili Omashke and says, based on the Megillah, Yud Gimel Amud Beis, there we learn. Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu makeh es Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't strike Klal Yisrael. Ela im ken, boire lehem refuah tchila. You're in the middle of the war. You should know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is magdim refuah lamaka, and there's already salvation that's already there. So we say thank you, we think it's a war, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you know what, maybe I'm going to help them. Oh! There's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's magdim refuah lamaka. He always prepared the salvation before the war even started. Mimele, we say thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Soymech Hashem lechol smicha before nefila. He supports those who fall. First they fall, and then he supports them. No, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is magdim lefur lamaka. So therefore we mention the smicha, the support before the downfall, because it's always there. Mimele, this applies to us. Person is in the middle of his own personal war, challenge, tribulation, difficulties, whatever it is, uncomfortable things that we all want to avoid. Oh, Kodesh Baruch Hu, I need salvation. The salvation is already there. Just daven that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should reveal. That's what he prepared before the war started, before the trouble, the challenge, whatever one goes through. Amen?
The more was first. First was the bitterness, then there was the Pesach.
Right. Right. Something you can only appreciate the marrow after you went through the salvation. So first you have to have the salvation and understand why it was really good for you. Miketz Hashem, Keshem she'asa nisim la'avoseinu. Back then, Miketz Hashem, He will deliver apparent Yeshuos v'nechamos. Miketz Hashem bekviyas go el tzedek bekorov b'yameinu v'noimar omen.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.